This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
As we get closer to Lag-b-omer this year, you can feel the excitement in the air here in Jerusalem. There's groups of kids starting from even 4 years old, gathering all the scrap wood or anything that could be flammable to use to build their bonfires. There are bonfires everywhere. I walk through one like open area, that you could find one big bonfire and a bunch of little ones that these little kids are building themselves. The average age, if you collect them all together, doesn't even add to 21 for some of these little bonfires. Now, getting beyond these bonfires, because that obviously is one of the big things we do on Lag-b-omer, we want to appreciate what is this day all about. Why do we celebrate on the 33rd day of the Omer? So let us start by addressing what comes up in the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch talks about the idea of Lag-b-omer. It says there that since the students of Rabbi Akiva stopped dying on this day, so there's an idea to add a little bit of simcha, and of course we don't say tachanun and things like that. So the question is, why should the fact that Rabbi Akiva's students stopped dying today be cause of celebration? Imagine, a person, unfortunately, his house is burning down. And he's looking at his clock and he sees at 12 midnight, the house stopped burning because it was finished burning. And so he says, okay, kids, mark this moment, 12 o'clock on this day, we're going to celebrate from now on every year because that's when our house stopped burning. It didn't stop burning, it was finished burning. Now, the same thing with Rabbi Akiva's Talmidim. 24,000 students died. There were no more students. So what is it to celebrate? Because all of the students died, so there were no more deaths after this day onward. That's not enough of a reason to make any type of celebration. So we have to dig a little bit deeper to understand what this day is really all about. Now, if we understand better why specifically the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva died and what that caused for the Jewish people, we can start to appreciate this idea. Really, the students of Rabbi Akiva, him being the main rabbi, the leader of his generation, represented the body of the oral tradition being transmitted from Rabbi Akiva to them, and they would have been the next generation's Torah teachers. Now, with 24,000 of them dying, there was a tremendous blow that the oral tradition would suffer. Who would give over the Torah to the next generation? That's the tragedy of the passing of these students, and that is why it becomes a day that forever we will participate in customs of mourning, because there were many tragedies over the ages for Jewish people, and we don't make every one of them a particular period where we mourn. So we mourn for the loss of Rabbi Shimon, of Rabbi Akiva's students, because it represents the idea of the loss of the potential Torah that could have come from them and would have come from them. So with that in mind, we can appreciate also why we celebrate. Now, after Rabbi Akiva's first 24,000 students died, so he went and took on 5 new students. Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai among them, Rabbi Meron, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, and others, Rabbi Yehuda bar Ilai. Now, it's these 5 students that now, in place of the loss of the first 24,000, have to stand up and represent the transmission of Rabbi Akiva's Torah to the next generation. As a matter of fact, the Talmud tells us that all of the oral Torah that we have today, it's all from these 5 students. So it's through these 5 students that the oral Torah, the Torah in and of itself, because without the oral Torah, what Torah do we have? Survived. And that's why we celebrate. And this is specifically what's brought in the Kitvei Arizal. The Arizal's writings don't mention today being the day that Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai passed away. It mentions the day of the joy of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. Yom Simchat Rashbi, not Yom Shemet Rashbi. And there's a big discussion among the different rabbis. What is the nature and essence of this day? Was it really the day that Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai passed away? Or was it the day he got smicha from Rabbi Akiva along with 4 other Talmidim? And so what comes out from the writings of the Arizal, at least, is that there is no real indication that this was the day that Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai passed away. What it is the day that the Torah Sheba'al Peh receives its kiyum, is saved from, unfortunately, almost being lost. And that is the celebration.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.